back for the first time in 2023, the BRUNCH, your Sunday rendezvous with the hockey coach, your coach franchise directly for the beautiful country of Thailand. And we have to go all the way to find our friend, Mr. Marco Larrabee from Ottawa, the co-host of the BRUNCH. Welcome back and Happy New Year, Mr. Marco.
Happy New Year, Coach. First of 2023. Very excited. Had a really relaxing holiday. It's that time of year where we all do New Year's resolutions, right? So, did you have
Which
any New
one?
Year's
What do you
resolutions
have?
this
That
year?
was your number one resolution in 2023.
Well, my number one, which I'm about to break, is number one resolution for 2023: no more Mike Hoffman jokes. But before I get into it 100%, I have one last Mike Hoffman joke that I'll share if you permit me. So, Coach, how many Mike Hoffmans does it take to change a light bulb? You don't know? 4.5 million, because he doesn't know how to screw in a light bulb. All he knows to do is to shoot one-timers from the right circle. So that's the last Mike Hoffman joke for
That's
the
maybe
year.
the last one before he got traded or he get released or he could be somewhere else
Maybe,
about that one over
maybe.
there. Who knows
So
what happened?
yeah,
And
I think Habs
uh,
Brunch will be happy. No more Mike Hoffman jokes, but lots to cover this week, Coach. It's been a bit of a tough time here. A lot of fans, even though we've been trying to warn them all year about kind of what was going to be coming, seems like a lot of fans are surprised that all of a sudden the Habs are not a playoff team. But listen, we'll address all those things today. Really excited to be back with you.
hey, listen, the last time we spoke, if I can recall it, I think it's December 17 or
Yeah,
December
yeah,
18. At that moment, there was
yeah,
about play a little bit over 500, 15, 13 or something like at that area. Since that, I think they
yeah,
won yesterday the second W. Since last time we spoke together about this.
yeah.
But the biggest news, Mr. Marco, is she's back with us. KARINE is going to be with us for the BRUNCH on the beautiful January uh, 8th, honestly. And I can't wait to talk to her because last time she came, she was sick and she carried on with some kind of COVID, a little bit like you did. And look like everybody is safe and very well, and your family, Marco, with your wife. So glad to hear it from that. But let's move on with the warm up, and then we can go for the President KARINE with us for this morning.
Let's do it.
Yes, she's back for the first time 2023, and we wish her a happy new year. KARINE for the Hockey Buzz, buzzhockey.com. She's back with us. Welcome back, KARINE. Glad to see you. More healthy, hopefully, for the 2023.
Hi guys, I'm really happy to be back, and yes, I'm way more healthy than I was. Happy New Year to you both. I don't really have any resolutions, maybe only just to try and stay positive about the Habs, whatever happens. I mean, it started well, it's going downhill now. I think it's important to stay positive because, it's bound to go back up. Maybe not this year, but soon enough.
But I will wish you one me.
Absolutely.
More stuff about Brendan Gallagher on your memory there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That'd be great about that one then. So we are back all three together for another BRUNCH Youth Sunday Rendezvous. And don't forget, everybody, to click on the like and subscribe. And, of course, give your comments. We'll be live premiere at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. If everything turns around to be great for sure about this. Like we do at the beginning of the show, we always review the week of the Montreal Canadiens, the weekly report. That's what we do all the time. And the first thing we talk about, they played 3 games. One lost against Nashville Predators 6-3. Last again, the New York Rangers 4-1. And they won yesterday by the score 5-4. And I don't know. Jesus born on December 25th. Joel Armia born this week in 2023.
Yeah, no, I think it's just as impactful of a time for sure. Like good comparison, the coach. So I think my takeaway from this week, it's the buzzword for the entire year, but progress, right? I think as Habs fans, unfortunately, we know what it's like to have very, very long losing streaks over the last several years, where we've had 10, 12 game spins, and after a while, the players don't even know what to say anymore when they're meeting the press and all that. So because we have that experience, we know kind of what it looks like. And in my experience, what I've noticed is, when what you notice is they start losing probably 1 or 2 games after they start playing bad. So they it starts off in a way where they're playing bad, but they still get points somehow. All of us can kind of see it coming, but we're still happy they're getting points. And then all of a sudden, boom, they hit a wall, and it gets really bad. And then and then there's slight progress. You can see that they start playing better, but then usually it takes 2 or 3 games where they're playing better. There's progress, but they still keep losing just because it's so hard to get out of that habit. The team is so fragile. So to be honest, I'm a little surprised because I was expecting maybe another game of playing better and losing, and that almost happened last night. Like, it was pretty close game. But so to me, what I see here is, to me, the big turning point is St. Louis finally talking about team defense, playing the right way. En français, on dit mettre les pendules à l'heure un peu with his players. So we saw the first evidence of that a little bit, against the Rangers game. Fans were complaining how it was boring and everything, and I think the pendulum maybe swung a little bit too far the other way. I think we only had like 2 shots in the first 17 minutes or something like that. So,
No
but
shots in the first 17
no
minutes. It took
shots.
17
Yeah,
minutes to get shot.
yeah, yeah. So again, but that's maybe a necessary evil, right? To kind of get everybody back aligned to kind of being aware of their own zone and everything. So listen, I'm encouraged with what I saw. Last night I think we held the Blues to very few scoring chances. There was maybe some breakdowns by that Weidman and Jackeye pair that led to a couple goals and everything else. But overall, much better effort, and it was just nice to get a win last night, right? So that's kind of my takeaway. So slowly but surely getting back on track here, playing the right way.
Yeah, I agree with Marco. It was about progress this week, but boy, was it time to see some progress because it got really, really dull watching the Habs. It's been a while since I actually yawned watching a game. But yeah, thank God for the World Junior Championships that kept us
Yeah,
entertained while the Habs were suffering. But yeah, I think he's right that in the sense that we did see progress against the Rangers, but it wasn't great entertainment to watch either. But yesterday, what I did notice was it was not only about team defense; it was also about the special units. The penalty killing was much more aggressive, much more active. I mean, the guys really bought into the concept that we can actually do this. They seem to have confidence. And the same can be said as well for the power play. And I think the power play is key to, getting guys' confidence back. Yesterday, the power play was a lot more threatening than it has been of late. The puck was moving faster and it was less predictable as well. I mean, Jonathan Drouin doesn't seem dead set on setting up Caulfield anymore. He's kind of, studying the options, and Caulfield didn't always go for his patented one-timer either. He actually changed the angle a couple of times, and, it paid off in the end. So, yeah, that was a fun game to watch yesterday. And to be fair, I think the scoreline doesn't really reflect what went on. I mean, I don't think they should have given 4 goals to the Blues. I think Allen could have been better, and I think the scoreline could have been more one-sided. But I'm actually glad it went the way it did because it did force them to bounce back and come back from behind 3 times. And that's good for the team. That's good for confidence. It kind of shows them you can do this. Let's go, guys. That being said, it doesn't mean that it's going to go back to being like it was in October or November. That's not going to happen, clearly.
no,
But it's a nice break from reality to get a win, something to cheer about, and then we can start watching Tankathon again and pray for Bidar. Yeah, I said it.
Absolutely right. Great comments, both of you. The smile was back. Like, I don't know, the last couple of games, I'm watching more interesting the press conference after the game, or before the game, at watching the game, honestly. But a couple of things I remember. First of all, Martin Saint-Louis accountable and honest about Jake Allen. If you remember, he leave Jake Allen on the net like prior to with
Yeah.
like 9 goal. Again, he said, I'm learning. I need to become better as a coach. Everything like that. So I really like it. Then about the
Yeah.
slum after 6 game losing, he said it's not why happening, it's how we can get out of the slum. And that's the most important thing for me to learning those kind of situation. This is the first adversity like this and never happened before that for me as a coach behind the bench. So another great statement of Martin St. Louis. Then the thirdly, I not remember which player he said, yes, we lost like this last year, the slum we are right now. But last year, it's not compared because it was negative. It was not fun to show up at the practice. It was not enthusiastic. We show up today again, and the smile is still back here in the locker room. And the players does not act the way they was last year. So another an improvement for me overall for the way they accept the situation and they know where they are. And I think that's a role for better for the veterans and the communication with Martin St. Louis with his player about the situation. So for me, that's pretty much what I have for this week. Honestly, I did not watch too much the game against the Rangers, but yesterday was, like you right, I think the puck movement was really good. And I still not understand the power play still what they try to find Suzuki from the top circle and not you. They use the goal at the Kirby dock exactly what the Tampa Bay does. And when they're going to walk from the wall and not from the dots, that will helping them. But that's a subject for the time. So that's pretty much it. They are 1-2-0, 1-2-0, 16-21, 3, 109 goal for 152 goal. Again, you can see since
Yikes.
last time we spoke, I think at that moment was minus 20, was 17, but now
Yeah.
they hanging there. 8 in the division classic, and now they are 27 in and ascending and the NHL and the Florida Panthers are 22nd after last night for the update. We know what could happen with the of course, the Panthers. We can talk about this a little bit
Sherrod for
later.
Bedard.
Yep.
Sherrod for Bedard.
And
Yeah.
the next thing we want to talk about, guys, is maybe who stood out. Maybe not only this week. If you want to go a little bit the last time before holidays until today, it's no matter. You can pick up those 2 3 weeks. I know Karen, you can be not here for a couple of weeks. Maybe you can mention something else and open up about this. So let's start it with Marco.
Well, I think for this set of games, I'd probably say Jake Evans stood out to me. So I think Sandy Wee in his press conference yesterday was talking about how weird hockey is sometimes, right? Like Armia was sitting for a couple games, Dadonov was sitting for a couple games, and all of a sudden, he puts them together with Evans, and I think that was probably the most effective line. For By the way, I did watch the Rangers game. I'm a real Habs fan, even though the World Juniors was playing. I recorded the Hab games and watched the Hab game right after, so I did watch the whole Rangers game. Little shot to you guys. But yeah, so I'd say over the last 3 games, since those guys are put together, they're probably the most effective line. Actually kind of providing some pressure down low. I just think it's nice to give Jake Evans some kudos, right? Like he's kind of somebody we don't talk about a lot. Does a lot of important things for the team, and especially over the last 2 games, I think his line has been driving play. So that's not really sustainable over a long period of time. Like they're not going to be leading our offense or anything, but really nice to see Jake Evans get some results to kind of show for all the hard work that he puts in. And I like Jake Evans. Some people might think that he's a little expensive for fourth line center, but I think it's a great deal as a fourth line center. So I think we're good there. So Jake Evans for me.
Okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit more, and I'm gonna say that Caulfield stood out for me because even though Suzuki and the first line they had their struggle, Caulfield kept on scoring through that losing streak, and I think that's really important because last year Caulfield got really down on his luck. He lost his confidence and everything. But this time, the losses kept on coming, but Caulfield kept on going, even though Suzuki was struggling. So I think that's really important, and that's great to see. And I think it's coach who was saying that players say it's fun to come to the rink and practice and all that. And whenever you see Montreal Canadiens content on Twitter and you see Caulfield, he's got this huge smile on his face and he's trying to cheer up everyone. So for me, that's great to see. Not only because he's playing well, but he's also a good influence on the team. He seems to be a nice guy to be around and the one that's gonna bring, cheers and everything in the room, whatever happens. So yeah, for me, Caulfield.
Great
It's a
comments
very
about
interesting point.
great comments because Caulfield has 6 goals in December, the most goal in December, and this week have 3 goals. I think he scored 2 goals against Nashville, is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So that gave him 3 goals this
Nashville.
week. So 9 goals the last, compare. I would go with one of his teammates and not about the perform. He scored yesterday and not about it last week only, but I think his progression, his development since the beginning of the season. I think I would go with Kirby Doc. During those slumps, I think Doc continues to be consistency, not on productivity, but I think he was show up every single game. I cannot count a lot of bad game he did during the month of December or during the slump they have for Montreal Canadiens. So for me, it's more about the development they want to do and the progression uh, for me about Kirby Doc this year. I want to open up something here, guys, and maybe we can talk about this next week. But the development of Jekai, Cooley, Harris, and I can go away Slafkovsky, everything like that, right? Take a moment, think about this, what they had today compared to October. Take a time right now and think about the Edmonton Oilers, the Holloway, the McLeod, the Bouchard, and all those players. Look how they are today when it was last the October at the beginning. They not develop in Edmonton. Sometimes you have to think a little bit more what the development of Martin Saint-Louis, what he brings sometime, and we only don't see other team. If you look about those development of McLeod and Bouchard, everything like that, look their season they are right now. Those rookies are not better what they're supposed to be. And you look at the orders, that's the reason. I know I open up another subject here, but for me, was the development where we at with those young players from the Montreal Canadiens. So I just want to open up and said that, the good job of Martin Saint Louis and maybe the people behind the scene we don't know, Adam Nicolas, Pellerin, everything like that. So I don't know if you have one thing you can add about what I said, maybe Karen, we know more about around them or Marco, but what you feel about my comments about this?
Well, yeah, I agree. You can definitely see a progression in the Habs rookies, and I think that goes to show how much this year is about development. And even though things have not been going well in December, I think Jakai wasn't far in the best team scoring in December. So that was not expected, was it? But Jakai is there. He's playing. He's on the second power play. He's taking shots to the net. He's got smarts. You know, he knows when to take a shot. He knows when to put the puck to the net. He doesn't try to, let go of the biggest slap shot ever. He just gets it to the net. He knows good stuff is going to happen. And that's brilliant. I think Aris as well has improved. His decision making is improved. But he's more comfortable when he's playing with Kovacevic than anyone else, I think. And that shows. But yeah, I think there definitely has to be some development for the coach to be able to rely on all of those rookies in the lineup. I'll say that Justin Barron, though, doesn't seem to have evolved much this season. I mean, he's been recalled. He played, what, 2 or 3 games, and he
Yeah,
struggled. He really has struggled. All those people saying that, oh, Slafkovsky should go to Laval to develop, blah, blah, blah. Should he? I'm not sure, to be honest. But yeah, that's my thoughts on
yeah,
that.
yeah. Like I think it's hard to compare, with a team that's supposed to be winning, right? Like Edmonton. I think you're right, Coach. Like to me, that's a reason why they're not really that much of a successful team. Is they just play McDavid and Draisaitl too much. They're so top heavy. They don't allow players in their bottom six to take an important role in the team. Like they're playing the whole 2 minute power play, things like that. So it's very hard to when you're a team like Edmonton that's everybody expects is going to win for them to do that. But that doesn't mean to say that I don't agree that there's been some great stories. Not even just with the NHL club, but I saw this great interview with Roy, Joshua Roy on TVA Sports before the game yesterday, where they were interviewing him about his experience at the World Juniors, and he was very open about how Nicholas and Rob Ramage and Francis Bouillon have been working with him along with his with Julien, which is his coach in Sherbrooke, just about how they've been very, very clear with him with what he needs to do to improve, which is his pace and everything else, right? So you can see like the players that are developing in the pipeline are also having a really good experience with the player development group. So lots of
Yep.
positive things.
Was said about that. You know, you can talk about Sean Forrest said the same thing. They visit him every time
Yeah,
that. You can see the change of the Montreal Canadian organization like 12 months ago, where they are today, what they want to accomplish and everything. So pretty nice to hear from you guys about this. But we have a couple of news around the Montreal Canadian. First of all, the app news, NHL All-Star game. They announced the pilot selection of Nick Suzuki. Second time back-to-back, he's going to be represent Montreal Canadian at the Panthers, the Florida Panthers. That's what is the location of the All Star game. So my question to you: are you agree, or would you like to have another players, or what do you think about the selection of Nick Suzuki, the captain of the Montreal Canadiens?
I
to
think
me
it
this
was the obvious selection. He's leading the team in points and all that. But to be honest, I would have preferred to see Caulfield chosen, just because he's been the bright spark this season and the turnaround from last year. I would have liked to see Caulfield there, but I think Suzuki has become the default selection for the Canadians. Once upon a time it was Carey Price automatically. Right now it's going to be Suzuki. So yeah.
Yeah, to me this is classic NHL, right? Like they just basically look at the scoring list. Okay, so that's like I think last year, remember Weidman was leading defenseman for Montreal in scoring, so he was the guy that they put up as a nominee for Montreal. So it just shows that maybe some brass at the NHL don't really kind of they really just look at this like the statistics and don't put a lot of thought into who they're going to put in there. It's not to say Suzuki's not deserving. We all love Suzuki and he's our captain and everything, but especially with how he's been playing over the last 10 games. I agree with Kevin that Caulfield brings an extra level, especially it's the All-Star game. Like why, like you were talking about how Smiley is, like he's just a natural to be at the All-Star game, right? So Habs fans, like voting is open now. Like I believe Caulfield is one of the players that you can vote for to join because there's still spots right on the All-Star team. So Habs fans, if you're watching Habs Brunch, don't forget to go on NHL.com and go vote for Mr. Cole Caulfield.
Yeah, you can vote, of course, for Shane Wright is on the selection on the vote for if you want to bring Shane
Oh yeah,
Wright over
yeah,
there. He's on the list
yeah.
of the on the selection of
Sure.
the All Star game. But
Yeah,
because
it's
people
fine.
laugh, someone make a joke about this. But I would say to you, Kevin, you're right. And I think for me, the All Star game is about entertaining, right? The
Mm.
Travers the grass last year, and I think Cole Caulfield I feel like he's the entertaining players. Like I would love to see him on the target, the corner, right? The four
Yeah,
corners, the
yeah.
accuracy he has, everything like that. So for me, I would go with more Cole Caulfield. Whatsoever Nick have a good year. I think for me, it's more about I don't know. I would select Cole Caulfield before Nick Suzuki if I have.
Did you hear some of the things? Did you hear what they're thinking of doing for the All Star game? Something about the players are going to be shooting frozen hamburgers at alligators.
Yeah, so something they talk
What the
about
hell?
this. I don't know what happening. So they try to do this a bit what they did in Vegas, where they was
Vegas. Yeah, yeah.
on the Valley Joe. So they try to use like on the swap and Everglades. So we're interested how they're going
Interesting.
to do it. They was talking about to be on the boat at some point. So we don't know what will be the next thing about
I
this,
guess the
but
NHL has good alligator insurance. I brought to you by Alligator Insurance
uh,
Alliance.
that would be interesting about that. The next news, I know we can want to talk a little bit more. I think Kevin wants to talk about some things, but abs injury update. Caden Cooley out for 8 weeks.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Monahan, he want to wait to come back when he would be 100%. That's what I think. Gallagher is going to be another 2 weeks. And maybe more. I don't know the last update yesterday. And Madison continues to be a couple of weeks. So maybe you can talk about maybe the impact of the different players, and then if you have any other update I just mentioned to you, just add this. No problem.
Yeah, I think the bigger concern is Caden Goulet's injury. I mean, in that game against the Panthers, he was in the corner with Barkov. Barkov fell over kind of on him and his leg just bent under him, and I saw that and I was like, oh my god, that knee's gonna be busted. So
Ooh.
I'm actually relieved that it's only 8 weeks. Well, minimum 8 weeks, but clearly the ligament didn't, completely blow, because if it did, it would be an operation.
Yeah.
But still, a
Yeah.
knee injury is serious for a hockey player. It's got to be taken care of, and taken care of the right way. I'm hoping they don't rush him back. They let him completely heal, because if you don't, then you can get recurring knee problems, and just that's not something you want. But it's a really crushing blow to the Habs, because we spoke about development and Goulet. I mean, wow! Did you? I didn't expect him to play all of those minutes this year. He's looking like a first pairing defenseman in his rookie season. That's quite something. I mean, Saint-Louis was talking about him and saying that if you compare him to other rookies with the minutes he's played, it's like he's already played a complete rookie season already, because he's played so much. So yeah, I think that's the biggest injury concern for me. I think it's a big blow to the Habs. It's a big blow to Blue Line, and I'm gonna miss I'm gonna miss him. He's fun to watch play. I mean, he's not the offensive dynamo, but he's just so consistent and so smart in the way he plays, and he lays the body when it's time to do so. He doesn't get himself out of the play. So much fun to watch. So yeah. As for Monahan, I think when he went down, that's actually when the Habs woes started. That's when we realized, well, I'm not gonna say we realized, but a lot of people didn't realize how much he brought to this team. The fact that he could give this team a second scoring line that was a threat. Take him away, so many attention on the first line. That's what led to Suzuki's problems, in my opinion, and to big extent that losing streak. As for Gallagher, God, I love the guy. I mean, I think we both know that. I love the player. I love the way he plays. But at 30 years old, I think he's getting beaten up now, and I think his body is starting to fail him, and that's a shame. But in the past few seasons when he was injured, it was like, well, he's played a lot of hockey. That's why he didn't have time to recuperate properly. But the last off season was as long as can be. He had time to heal properly. He came back, and it didn't last for long. So, starting to think that Galley's having issues staying healthy, and that might not be the last time we see that. I think it's unfortunate. The guy's got a lion's heart, and he wants to give everything for this team, but health is just not with him anymore, and I think that's a concern, especially since he signed for, what is it, another 4 years after this, I think.
Yeah.
He's
Five.
got left on
Yeah.
the
Is it
contract.
five?
5-4. Anyway, that's a lot. 6.5 million for 5 years. If he can't perform, that hurts. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah,
The thing that the one player that I think of when I'm looking at Gallagher today, do you guys remember Ryan Callahan? Kind of reminds
yeah.
me of that. Really, really strong, kind of performance, and like played the right way, played really hard, really important to his team, and just kept trying to come back. Whether it was he ended up in Tampa, right?
Yeah.
After the Rangers, he's part of that McDonough deal, and just was never able to kind of get healthy again, right? So you hope it's not like that, because we could really use Gallagher to show the team how to play the right way, kind of like what we've been talking about, right? Just that inspirational leader on the ice. It would just be nice to have him. We don't need him to score 30 goals, just be a productive, part of the team, and be there to show the guys how to play the right way. But hopefully, it's not a Ryan Callahan kind of situation. Very similar players, so we'll see how that works out. Yeah, I agree with Gooley. Like, it's very disappointing, but for the tank, it's not terrible news. And in a way, it's it's actually good news. Because I think we've seen everything that we need to see from Gooley, so it does open up. I'm trying to be positive, right? It opens up a spot to give a little bit more ice time to those other kind of left D men that are there. So even more opportunity to evaluate Harris and Jack Eye and everything else. So try to look at it positively. To me, the biggest concern is Monahan, because we're all hoping that he was going to be, and this might segue into our next topic or one of our topics here about trying to get another first round pick. So it's definitely hurt. I'm not an insider. I don't know. I don't talk to GMs, but I'm assuming that this is not helping his value. I'm sure teams are already concerned with his health history. Luckily, if I think this is a broken foot, right? So it's not a ligament or something like that. But you just hope that he can come back and be impactful here. I think they were saying in the next 2 weeks that he'll be back. So hopefully enough runway for him to have an impact and get back on teams' radars. And I don't know if he'll get us a first, but hopefully get us something.
Yep. Cooley is the most point by any defenseman to go 12 assists for a total of 14 points. He was the number one that was the most point for them. And I don't want to put you on the hot seat, Karen, but I know you attached with Montreal and Chantal Maccabee and Montreal Canadiens and everything like that. When they got hired her and when they said with the new people, they said going to be transparency about injuries, they open up, they're going to explain everything like that more. But again, I think it was the guy from Luc Gilina was upset again because they
Yeah,
didn't want to talk about it was another lower body injury, everything like that. I'm not inside of you guys like a reporter, like Marco D'Amigo, you and everybody like that. But for your job or what you see and and again, if you feel like you don't want to talk about this or you feel like no opinion, I respect that. But what do you see why they cannot open up more or why they are still the same way about injuries?
To be honest, I think they are more open than they used to be. I don't need to know the exact details of guy's injury. I know, I don't see why we need to know exactly what the problem is. I mean, as long as you know how long the guy is going to be out for and that they're frank about that, and it's not like, yeah, Kerry tweaked something in his knee, he's going to be out like 2 weeks, and then it ends up being 4 months. That annoyed me. That was the previous regime. It's not this one. I didn't actually see Luc Gelina getting annoyed. I don't know what went on there. But I think they're more transparent than they used to be, and they're transparent enough for me. I mean, we're all watching the games. We're all seeing, more often than not, we know exactly when the player got injured, and you can see what went on. So you can draw your own conclusions, to be honest. That's just my take.
I think it's a great point, Coach. Like, if you to quote Chantal Maccabee directly, the whole thing that she wants to do is have the fans be closer to the players, right? Like the fans consider players like their extended family, right? Like, or they genuinely care about them as people, right? So the reason they want to know the injury is because, again, we're not like the Arizona Coyotes here, where okay, we just need to know when they're coming back. No, like we want to understand, okay, what kind of injury does Gouli have? Because by understanding that injury, we understand, is this going to impact his career? And like we know, like these are very knowledgeable hockey fans in Montreal and across Canada that are Habs fans, right? So I agree. Like, I just don't see the point, right? Because, like you said, everybody sees Gouli walking around with a knee brace. So, what is the purpose of saying lower body injury, right? Just again, we don't want a long medical. Like, we're not asking for the doctors to come in and do a 40-minute press conference with X-rays and all that. But yeah, just be transparent with the interview, like, or with the injury,
Like
because
if
fans
it's a
generally care about the
sprain
players.
or you know what I mean, like I
Yeah,
don't know. It's for me, it's just like and again, because Luke Gina, I follow the story every time that's what I just bring to
yeah,
Karen because of that. But yeah, I think you a great point. I think the fans knows everything, and it's like Sean Monahan walked one day with the boot on the right foot before the game, and he's hurt. Like nobody knew about the situation about that, and you know what I mean. So I don't know. Again, I will just open up a story about this. So yeah, will be interesting to see the update about the new player, those players the next couple of weeks. But we want to talk a little bit more. The World Junior Championship, everybody knows already who won. Everything like that was a great, maybe a resume of the app prospect or the resume of one of them talking about the tournament overall, and we just complete for both conversation you bring on the table. So let's start with Karine. If you want to talk about prospect or the tournament in general, that'd be good.
Well, I think the shining star for me was, and for most people anyway, was Joshua Roy. I mean, he started, a bit lower on the Team Canada depth chart, but he moved up the ranks and ended up playing with Bedard. And boy, the chemistry between the two wasn't that fun to see, and didn't that make Abs fans dream? I mean, wow, what a tournament for Roy. And the fact that he set up the gold medal winning game as well was kind of a treat, wasn't it? To just, and he looked so happy in the post game interview as well. I think he's broken, who was it, Huberto's record for the most points by a Quebecer player in the World Junior Championships tournament. So that's great to add to your resume. And I love the way he climbed up the ladder of Team Canada. Really, for a guy whose work ethic was questioned, and that's why he fell in the draft quite late. He ended up being a fifth round pick, I think, and there was a lot of concern about his work ethic. But he's just showed there, I can do anything the coach wants me to do. I'm gonna get my head down, work hard, and get it done. And that's just nice to see for the future. It was also great to see Owen Beck called upon when Colton Duck got injured. He didn't get to play much, but still in the semifinal he did set up a goal. So he made the most of the very little playing time he had. I'm kind of disappointed that Lane Hudson wasn't relied on as much as I would have hoped by Team USA, but he's not one of their older guys yet, so that's was kind of to be expected, I guess. Um, and what else?
Philippe Mazar.
Angstrom did well, even. Czar, yeah. Wow, that goal he set up against Canada, that was just brilliant. I can't help but wonder, if Slafkovsky had been there, would Team Canada have beaten Slovakia? We'll never know. But boy, what a game that was! That was a lot of fun to watch, and yeah, it's future is looking good for Mazar. Yeah, that's my takeaways from that tournament.
Awesome. Marco?
Yeah, like great points. Great tournament to watch. Really highlighting a lot of our prospects in this tournament. Really, the only guy that I was hoping to see a bit more of that we didn't get to see that much was Roar, because he was injured, and it's just really hard to see what he could do because the team is so bad and playing against really good teams. So
Mm.
we weren't able to really assess much of. So I'll have to watch some 67 games to kind of see where Roar is at. But a guy like Oliver Kapanen playing first line minutes for Finland, winning a lot of big faceoffs, scoring some big goals. So I don't know where he slots in the future. Like but potentially somebody to backfill like a Jake Evans kind of role on a fourth line. So really good tournament from Oliver Kapanen. Yeah, we talked about Engstrom playing top line minutes. Really, just surpassed my expectations watching him play that much. Like I was surprised, not like I expected him to be solid in his own end, but I was actually really positively impacted with how he carries the puck and moves the puck out of his zone. He skates the zone out of the zone really well, so that was really good. And just to buckle back on Joshua Roy, to me, the thing that he really excels in is winning those board battles, right? Like something that he's improved in so much from when I saw him last year. So, you know, I'm always a little nervous. I think back to how excited I was of Charles Hudon when he played at the World Junior. Like, hopefully, he's not a Charles Hudon kind of guy, and hopefully, you know, again, if he can work on his skating, if he can just be a little bit more explosive with his skating, I think he could really, end up playing an important role with the Canadians based on what I saw. Like he's just a really cerebral player. That's if you compare him to say like a Jonathan Drouin, right? Drouin, that's always been my criticism of him is that he almost never wins 50-50 puck battles. So if he doesn't, if he's not in open space, the puck almost always dies on his stick. But with Wa, like he's winning back all these pucks, like picking players' pockets and things like that. So these are the kinds of things that you look for and we'll talk about this with Suzuki is when you're not scoring, you need to add value to the team in other ways, right? Like defending and winning puck battles and things like that. And Wa, I think, what was the most impressive thing? Did you guys see the quote from Bedard about Wa after the tournament, Bedard was saying that out of anybody in the tournament, what impressed him the most, and he's one of the most intelligent hockey players that he's played with. That's from Connor Bedard. So huge high praise from Bedard on Joshua Roy. So really encouraging for Habs fans.
Some great comment for the prospect Montreal Canadiens. I think overall that's pretty good. I'm always like, it's a tournament where you have always to be careful, right? Because the age, the 17, the
Yeah,
18, the 19, and the 20. And they
yeah,
have a big
yeah,
strength on that tournament. And sometimes we get too much excited. I'll be honest with you. Only thing I would say about Joshua Roy, it's always looking for progression. If you look at his tournament in August, and you look at the tournament this year, a couple of months later, 4 or 5 months, experience-wise, more reps and more confidence, and you can see become a key major of the Team Canada. Whatsoever have a good tournament in August, he jumped for the third line to finish for the first line. Philippe Mézard, Karen, I don't know if you'll be arguing with me, both of you. It reminds me a little bit what Stankoven did with Bedard and with Roy. The speed of Stankoven, shifty, move the puck. He have a great vision. I think Mézard is on same fit or like him, same small player, 5'9", 5'10", and 5'8", and then I think that they both look similar on my eyes. Another great pick of the Dallas Star. Dallas Star, they are select
yeah,
so much great
yeah. Oh
draft
yeah.
pick. So
We
I just
could have
want to
had
say really
Stankoven instead of Mailloux. Stankoven
Yeah,
is
we
right
got the
there.
wrong Logan, did we?
Yeah,
All right, let's move on to the next subject. And I don't want to start a controversy. I already did already during the week my shows. But what I want to talk to you guys about, okay, Slafkovsky, good decision or not, or you accept decision, and after the fence, maybe you would like to have seen him. Whatever is, do you think like is a good decision? Send the beginning of the season with Slafkovsky, to keep him with Montreal Canadiens. Did not go to American Hockey League. They did not go to the junior, or he did not go to the World Junior Championship. All together, do you feel comfortable with the decision Montreal Canadiens so far? So that was my question. Good decision or not? And I want to hear from you guys about Slafkovsky.
I'll let you go first on that one, Marco.
well, I don't know if you guys remember, but this summer I was pretty unequivocal that I thought he should play the whole season. So I think it's the right decision. Like, I think there's again, would it be a terrible decision for him to go to Laval? Like, is it going to stunt his growth? I don't think it would. But just based on kind of what's there in Laval, you have Martin Saint Louis in Montreal, right? He's the guy that you want coaching and mentoring this guy every day, right? So to me, I'm not that concerned about the scoring or anything else, like what his results are. Again, like, would you like to see a little bit more improvement in his game, like how he's playing? Yes. But I think, Coach, you've mentioned this in the past. Like, I'd like to see a little bit more steady line mates. Like, he has ping ponged around the lineup quite a bit. Like, I know with injuries, it's hard. So I like the fact that they have him playing consistently with Dvorak and Anderson right now. It seems like Anderson is probably the player that he has the most affinity with so far. Like, I find that they read off each
On the
other pretty
data
well.
analytic is with Jake Evan, Josh Anderson, and Slafkovsky. For Slafkovsky about his number analytic.
Yeah, yeah. So I think a little more consistency in his line mates will help. And I'd like to see St. Louis be a little bit more opportunistic with how he uses them too, right? Coach, we've talked about this before. They're down 2 goals or something in the third period, and you see that Dadanoff or Hoffman or one of those guys is not really going, then just put him in different positions. I that's one of my criticisms. Like, even at the end of the game yesterday, like I think he skipped his turn towards the end of the third period. So give him those minutes, give him that exposure. Um, so I think it's the right decision. I don't think that there's anything wrong with him playing those minutes. But I don't think it would be the end of the world if he went to Laval either. But I just don't have a lot of faith in the coaching staff down there compared to Martin Saint Louis.
Karine.
Yeah, prior to the tournament, I was on board with him not going as long as he played, big minutes, top six role, and things like that. And when we kind of learned that he wasn't gonna go, he was actually playing on the second line. But then during that losing streak, he got bounced around the lineup quite a bit. I mean, at one point, Anthony Richard came in and he ended up on the second line when Slafkovsky went down to the fourth. And that I didn't like much, to be honest, because this guy is meant to be our future. I mean, no disrespect to Anthony Richard, but he's not exactly young. Is he? What is he, like 25 or something like that? And he's been an
Yeah.
AHL journeyman and all that. And I know there's some feel good story about that it can happen, that a guy matures in the AHL and then comes onto the scene and bomb,
The
steals the
fan base
show.
was just crying for the fan base was just flipping out for Richard's. Like I don't know what they were
Yeah.
expecting, but like they were crying that he wasn't like look
Yeah.
at this guy's history,
So yeah, when I saw him demoted to the fourth line and all that, I was like, well, then it could have been good to see him with Slovakia, especially like I said earlier. I mean, I do wonder what would have happened to Team Canada against Slovakia in the semifinal if Slafkovsky had been there. I mean, we'll never know, but it could have been fun to see him play. And I don't think he'll be going to Laval. I think it was Brian Wild yesterday who wrote that he passed the 40 game mark, so he's burnt a year of his, basically he's going to be a UFA sooner than if he was sent back down and didn't play 40 games this year in the NHL. Now that he's crossed
yeah.
that bridge, might as well keep him up. And like Marco said, I mean, we've got Saint Louis. Saint Louis seems to be good at handling young players. And, what I said about Barron earlier applies. I don't think he's developed all that well in Laval. So might as well keep Slafkovsky up. And I see a lot of people on Twitter making comparison already between Slafkovsky and Kotkaniemi. It's like, whoa, hold the phone here. I mean, Slav has got half a season under his belt. Kotkaniemi's got, what, 3, 4 now? I mean, can we relax here? And the whole management team has changed since Kotkaniemi was developed in Montreal. So, let's give the guys a chance and see what happens. I'm still confident that they can handle Slafkovsky properly, but I'm just saying it could have been fun to see him play in the World Junior Championships.
Yeah, great answer. I would say good decision for Montreal Canadiens. As a fans, I would like to see him at the World Junior Championship. I think it would be fun to watching. Um, but I would say to you because if you look at, you have no perfect route for players. What I've said that a player can go this way and he could be successful. He can go to another way. It does not work. Every time I will give you an example. Quinton Byfield. He went to the American Hockey League. Look what he's doing. He did not develop better. It makes sense. So look, Jack Hughes. People say he should be at the American Hockey League, should be junior. Jack Hughes, at 18 years old, show up with the Devils, play 12 minutes per game all year long. 7 goals, 14 assists, 21 points, I believe. For his first career, or 7-21-28, something like that. He have only 7 goals, so I know that. But again, look who he is today. I'm not saying he's going to be another Jack Hughes, but the Devils use him properly. And during the year, he grew for the 4 line, 3rd line, 2nd line, 1st line. It's a growing for Slafkovsky for me. I have no problem if you keep him between 10 minutes and 12 minutes. I don't have no problem with that, the development of Slafkovsky. Like we said at the beginning, many times, Kevin, you said, Martin Saint-Louis coach who win games. And he proved it yesterday. Richard 4 minutes, Pazetta 6 minutes, and Whiteman 6 minutes or 9 minutes, and then Albert 14 minutes. So I just want to share about this. Not something controversial. I think it was a great answer for you guys. You talk about
One thing though, coach, is I would love to see Slafkovsky start taping his stick like a normal human being though. Like it looks like they peer pressured him to put a little more tape on his stick, and he did it for 5 or 10 games. But now he's back to the weird ass paint job where it's just at the tip kind of thing.
Superstition.
It's just
but it works. Like Tim Suzler, that's what he does. So it's just the people about that one over there. We're going to finish a couple of questions, guys. We have about 11 minutes, so we'll be fine. I think we'll be all right about this. So Canadians struggle because and why? So it could be a fun way you can put both because and white together. It's not a problem. Again, you can put one thing and then Marco another thing, return that. But what do you feel? What the reason we feel like the last couple of weeks and December 9th, 17 until yesterday, I think it was 1-9-1. Now they are 2-9-1, and they gave a bunch of goals against. They are the bottom in NHL on PK, on power play, and on the goal again. So give you three reasons you can talk about.
Well, I think for me, there's kind of two reasons why they're struggling. The first one I've touched upon earlier, Sean Monahan getting injured. There's just not enough scoring threats in the Habs lineup, and if you take away a second kind of offensive line, it puts all of the pressure and all of the other team's attention on the Suzuki line. So it's much easier to contain them and neutralize them. And the second reason has got to be the lack of commitment to defense. I mean, Marco made a great point earlier saying that we has finally started talking about team defense. And it's something that the Canadiens hadn't been doing. And they've been getting away with it earlier in the season when the goalies were playing like above
Their head.
above above their head, quite frankly. But now that we're getting normal or subpar performances from the goaltender, you can see that you can't get away with it in the NHL. If you're not playing defense, you're not going to win, especially not when you don't have enough scoring threat in your lineup to go all out and be goal, goal, goal. The Canadiens don't have that just yet, so they can't afford not to play defense. And I think that big losing streak will have made them notice that, yeah, okay, if we don't do the boring side of the work and play defense, we're not going to go anywhere. So, yeah, I think those are the two main reasons for me. Not enough scoring threat and not enough team commitment to defense.
Well, I hear a lot of people talking about how, and maybe there is a parallel between when Monahan got hurt, but I don't know if I buy it that much. I We'll talk about it in a minute, but I think there's definitely, I'm not sure what's going on with Suzuki, if he's injured or just lack of energy. It's a lot of responsibilities, but I'm not sure if I correlate that necessarily, because I think teams were they were already honing in on Suzuki and Caulfield as the first line, so it's not like they were focusing on Monahan and all of a sudden now they're focusing on Suzuki. But anyways, we'll debate that in a minute. But I think I agree with everything there, Kevin. Like, the thing I would add is just the level of competition has increased in the last, it's kind of 10, 12 games. Like October and November is kind of like level two. Like, it's kind of like a video game, right? Like level one, level two, level three. So training camp and and all that. That's like that's like not even the start of the game, but November and October is a totally different style. So now in the last 10, 12 games, I think St. Louis calls it teams are more organized and everything else, right? So you combine all the things that they were getting away with before that we talked about every week here. We're all excited that they were, their scoring, their shooting percentage was way higher than it should be, and the goaltending was keeping them in games. But we were warning people, it's fun, but it's not going to last. It's impossible that it's going to last. And so finally, those things are coming to a head. From a more boring technical perspective, what's really happening when you look at it, I don't know if you agree, Coach, but it's really their inability to break out of their zone effectively. It all comes down to that, right? Like St. Louis talks about it all the time, that you're not going to create much on offense if you spend all of your energy just continue cycling in your zone. Just by the time you end up getting, and that happened last night too, right? Like, still way too much time. They move. What really annoys me, something St. Louis has to look at, too many lateral passes and going backwards when they're trying to break out. Um, you know, Passing it D to D all the time. Like, you just need to get the puck out. The least amount of time that you can defend in your zone, you're going to spend much less energy defending in your zone, and you're not going to be able to create anything, right? So I think what they're doing right now, you saw it in the last couple of games, is they have all the players coming even much deeper into the zone to support the young D. I think that's good, but that comes with its own risks. You're going to see a lot more shots from points and things like that. But We just need to be able to break out of our zone a little bit more effectively. I just, if you count the amount of times, like the poor breakouts that lead to just being the puck being turned over, and then we just get stuck in our zone for like a minute and a half. The players are gassed and they take a penalty, and then our penalty kill sucks. And so it all comes down. It all comes back to being able to break out of your zone in an organized way, play closer together, so you can have these breakouts, and then you're going to have a little bit more energy to create things on on the offensive side of the puck. And they were cheating the last 7 games. They've been cheating. I call it poke and hope, right? So you poke the puck, and you hope that you're going to poke it away because you're still skating forward, and and when you're poking, you hope that the puck's going to go on the other side, and then you can break out. The problem is that if the player wins that battle, you're now behind that player, and the puck is going the other way. Caulfield and Suzuki probably the two worst at that in the last 10, 12 games, those poke and hope kind of plays. In the last couple of games, you can see they're trying to stay under the puck. Those are all positive things. So to me, I see this last 7 game losing streak as a necessary evil. In a way, I was almost happy to see it. Did we want to see them continue to get points by playing the wrong way? It's lose-lose. They're not learning how to play hockey well, and they're getting points that they shouldn't be getting, which is giving us a worse draft position. So to me, this is the best of both worlds. They're losing points, which means we're going to get a better draft pick, and St. Louis is finally getting them to understand that they're going to have to play the right way. If they want to get their cookies, they still have to put in the work and play the right way. So I think it's positive what's happening.
Yeah, I think for me it's about more like before the breakout is the defensive zone coverage. I think they did not progress. We talked about progression earlier. They did not progress. I think Suzuki is getting the same way. Caulfield does the same thing. Everything like
Yeah.
that. That's the first thing on the defensive zone coverage. Second thing, the lack of commitment on defensive to pay the price. Too many ducks, too many. They don't want to go down to stop
Flamingos.
the puck
Flamingos.
from the point. Everything like that. They don't do that at all. So I think that's for me lack of commitment. This coming from the coach, and they have to pay the price for that. If it was Tortorella, how did the blocker? They stop the puck all the time. I understand they do sometimes, but I want to have more intensity from the forwards on the defensive zone coverage. You're right when they
Yeah.
turn around and they try to check in and then they lose the puck and the puck position, everything like that. You get tired. It's an accumulation like that. For me, it's a no progression on the defensive zone coverage. It will come with time. I understand that. But for me, if you want to ask me that, I would be the same thing. On this said about Suzuki, he had 9 points on before December on power play. And that's what for me is affect his play because he cannot performing on the power play. It's mental, I
Yeah.
understand that, but could be that go that same process with the face off when you're losing constantly. I don't want to go deeper, but I think for me that's the two things about that
Yeah.
one over there.
We probably lost all the fans. They hate us talking about all the kind of technical things, but guys, that's what it really comes down to. Like they have to start doing these things well. If you want them to not be the Leafs play well now, and I think we all know that they play the right way, but the Leafs from 3 years ago, we don't want the Habs to evolve into that kind of team. They need to learn how
Yeah,
to play the
absolutely
right
right. We'll go to finish because we already hit there. We have two things to talk about. First, the Montreal Canadiens have a 4 game. We include a game for next Sunday against the Rangers. So they play Monday against the Seattle Kraken. Then they have a 3 game and 4 night. The Nashville at home, and then they're traveling for the New York City Saturday, Sunday. Prediction, Marco.
It's going to be a tough week again, I think, Coach. But again, I hope we continue to see the same things. Seattle is on an absolute tear right now. Like they
Oh,
just, my God, they're just. I think you were talking about it last night. Like when you have Sprong, who has like 8 or 9 goals playing on your
12
fourth
goals.
line, and
12.
12 goals. Like that's insane. Like just so much depth on that team. Um, Martin Jones, like has a whole bunch of wins. Like he might even go to the All-Star game this year.
He's
Like
a
that's
point eight
insane. Like
nine. He has like
yeah, but
15 with
just
W.
he's yeah, but just all the W's, he might still make it to the All-Star game because he gets so much run support, right? So that's going to be a tough one for sure. But Nashville is a gettable game, I guess, out of all these. But again, they're going to be hungry, right? Because they're right in the dogfight to try to get back into a playoff spot too. So this is going to be tough week. But I suspect, we maybe get like 3 points out of this. Like maybe we get a tie somewhere, and maybe we surprise like a Rangers team or something like that. Hard to say. Again, what I'm looking for specifically is just let's stay on the same path, continue to work on things that St. Louis has them focused on, and let's hope that progress continues. But I think it's going to be a tough stretch here too.
Karen, prediction of the week.
Well, it's kind of hard to argue with what Marco said. So yeah, I think I'd go with just 2 points against Nashville.
Oh, you guys,
That's
you're generous.
well, I'm trying to be optimistic. I told you that's my New
No,
Year's
I just play.
resolution. Let me be optimistic. Plus, I'm gonna be there on that night on the press gallery watching the PK homage. So I don't want
Oh
anything
yeah,
to ruin
yeah,
my night. Okay?
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. About read my mind, I would say 1 or 2 points, but they're not going to be a W. It's going to be a tie game twice. Maybe Nashville Thursday and possibly again the Islanders Saturday, and then New York Rangers they're going to get beat 5-1 or
I don't
something like
know.
that. 3 night, 3 game and 4 night, second back to back in New York. They're going to eat some
Okay.
steakhouse the evening
Yeah.
and. No curfew that night, so I was expect again the
Yeah.
Rangers a bad night for that one over there. Well, past the 60 minutes, but one more thing we want to talk, and Karine mentioned this at the beginning of the show to us, Mr. Marco, is this week we celebrate a ceremony in honor of the January 12th Piquet Subban night. We can call this on or whatever you want to call it ceremony. Karen, you can open up with that players and then tell us what happening and about yourself over there.
Yeah, we all know that PK Subban retired this off season. He didn't find a contract, and some were speculating that he might go on a PTO somewhere. But I just knew that if PK didn't find a contract, he'd just retire. He doesn't need the money. He's got an entertainment career lined up again in front of him, a media career. He's good at commentating and all that stuff. And yeah, I'm really happy that the Habs decided to do the right thing and throw him in the marsh there. I mean, I know the guy is not Hall of Famer material at all, but he's just been such a bright ray of light for the Canadians in what were mainly really defensive years. I mean, kind of years of boring hockey. And PK just made it all the lot more entertaining. He just the way he had to make people jump out of their seats, and then there's of course everything he did off the ice as well. I mean, the 10 million commitment to DA Children's Hospital and all that. The guy fully deserves that homage. And I'll be there on the press gallery to watch it, thanks to Club 1909. If you're a fan and you're not a part of Club 1909, you're missing out. That's one of the rewards that they do have for a lot of points is to go watch a game on the press gallery. If you've never been, there's no better seat in the house. You're not allowed to dress in Abs color, can't wear your jersey, can't cheer too much because the media is right there and they're working. But it's well worth the experience. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to Thursday and seeing that game, to be honest.
Awesome.
So yeah.
That's amazing. That's hilarious. Speaking of media, though, I don't know if you guys saw, but PK, when he was on ESPN, he got to interview Max Pacioretty. I
All
highly
right.
recommend that. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. They're very nice to each other, but we all know the history between PK and Pacioretty, so a lot of context or subtext to that interview. But on the surface, it looks very professional. They're like, hey, best of the family and everything, but it's just funny because you kind of know that they have a bit of a history. And then the other thing with PK, he had an interview where he made a statement where he's very disappointed that like he was prepared to open or to sign like a lifetime year with the Montreal Canadiens at a lower price and all that, and but they never gave him that opportunity and all that. So he's been making the news as PK does. But I agree. Like, and another thing to mention too, a lot of people were very critical that Markov, they're not doing this for Markov. Apparently, Chantal Macabé, her original idea was to have Markov and Subban come on the same night, but unfortunately, Markov just wasn't able to make it. So that would
He's
have been really
coaching.
cool too to see Markov and Subban at the same time get honored. But so Habs fans like me, were very disappointed with how Markov was exited from the organization. we can look forward to some type of honor for Markov as well too. So looking forward to that one. I'm a huge PK guy too, so it should be fun.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to see Piquet Subban in the middle of the ice. I can't wait to see the ovation where the fans going to be. He's going to be a biggest favorite player for many fans, and maybe not me, but I'm older to you guys. But some people outgrow their, a young age with Piquet Subban and Carey Price. That's is their heroes. Us is me, is Guy Lafleur, everybody else. But them is Piquet Subban. He leave an impact for many players, many people around the Montreal, and he's always been good around for the people in Montreal. So this guy conclude the first Habs BRUNCH your Sunday rendezvous on the 2022. But before we leave, we invite everybody, don't forget to click on the like, subscribe to our Canadian show, leave us a comment. We'll be live at 11 o'clock, well, not live, but we'll be premiere at 11 o'clock. Some of us will be in that chat talking with each one of you. So until the next week, we wish you everybody an amazing, great week. Thanks, Karine, again to join us. We are pleased to having you and look like healthy now. And thanks again, everybody. Marco, good job. We'll see you next Sunday, everybody. Thanks you again for your participation this morning. And have a great brunch. For me, it's evening, by the way. It's 10 o'clock p.m. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.